mixing me up like Chinese here. Okay.
Wait,
I do work you double, but I do
Send
work you
those
double.
in. Hey, relax. Wait, Thomas told me even good.
You don't make me do shit
Shit,
today, man.
that's fine.
I said I will allow your life, boy. You log into my thing,
Hey,
sir?
Reggie, we
No.
just spent the last 12
No, we
hours of
won't.
our life in our biology crash course.
9 to 9, yeah.
We not getting back that 12 hours, you know that.
No, but if
Oh,
you think about it, right, you're getting back on Monday. And that's not like.
no, then I remember anything. That's the
Nah,
point.
yeah, actually, I don't
No,
know.
we have the PowerPoint, boy. We have the PowerPoint, boy. Don't worry.
No, the point I'm going to the
First, you
Oh.
to explain
I
it.
remember shit from our crash course.
Hey, I
Lion.
mean, you study a mountain. Hush.
It's biology, bro.
I remember was.
What he's supposed to be worrying about? What is it? Oh, wait,
I just
right.
remember heterozygous and homozygous. That's what.
Oh, wait. No,
Who's
she
that?
changed it
Haploid and diploid.
to hermizygous. She changed it to hermizygous.
And
Oh,
Hey,
tell me.
and gametes.
hey, boy, tell Kenan to just join the Discord instead of yapping so now, boy.
Who is Kenan?
That's fine.
Oh, Kenan,
Who
that is,
is-
he does go present. That Jaden friend, he's go presentation. He's like Kennedy. That's the best way I could describe it. He's like Kennedy.
Oh, you keep on saying that, but I don't believe you, though.
No, he's like he black. He could swim. He could
Hey,
sing all
hey,
the
hey,
Kendrick
hey,
songs.
Nah, you're going wrong there.
Nobody
You're
can
I
be like
know
Kennedy.
that
Who can swim, dog?
Okay, the first
Nobody
two
can be
things
like
you said
Kennedy.
there, just kind of
contradict.
don't match.
Yeah,
Like, exactly, don't like, bro.
that's contradicting statements, bro. Can't, that's not possible.
But they could swim. But Kenan is a
You could
full
probably,
African
you
or
could
he
probably do
mixed?
it
Yeah,
so,
but
like, I don't know.
exactly.
mostly
He may be full on black. I not full on black. He could swim. I can't swim. Like, bro, what you talking about?
I
Bro?
left from.
Hey, Kennedy, me and you together, but I mean, you do, right?
It's what every time you children and jump off the boat, that means they die, you know, because they cannot swim.
My
And the
bad,
point.
Yeah.
my bad.
Totally not because sharks used to be eating them. I'm thinking about
No,
it.
it's
Yeah.
dog. Fucking
Sharks used to follow these ships because whenever these slaves dead, they used to throw them overboard. And sharks used to follow the ships to eat them.
How you know this shit, boy?
That is an
Don't
actual
worry
thing to
about
teach
that,
all, yeah?
boy.
That is an
Yeah,
actual thing all they learn.
yeah.
no, you don't ruin that. You don't.
But it's
How
something we
we can
feel
learn that?
about. We kind of
Jadon
learn through
have
when
OBS
you teach
already,
a
boy.
boy.
Jadon set up OBS one time, boy. Jadon, you're not sure if this will be useful, Jadon. Jadon, think about the future, Jadons.
What are you doing, boy? Not fuck, I mean, back kilo.
I'm not what you doing.
Rajiv, how to make money in this game.
Hey, Rajiv, give me a
So-
group guide tutorial.
Y'all should
Oh,
be.
This man
you
old
can just give all
boy.
your money straight up.
This man on your phone, yes, he gonna teach all you on your phone.
Y'all see the screen
What
there
do you
by
mean they give
chance?
me money? No, I don't.
No, you had your phone,
I
boy.
don't know how to
Yeah,
make
good.
Let me see this,
Alright, let me
No, I can just give you money
invite
straight up, but you
recorder
don't have to
anyway.
make nothing.
Bring up.
Bali
You're
I
seeing
open
that now,
WhatsApp
the
and I
paper.
open
The man
Wait,
speaking.
now.
But
You
since
actually have to go in the
it's
gesture menu to go to the home.
papers,
I don't hear any man.
Alright,
Jadon, you don't hear any audio.
Alright,
Or am
so
I stupid? Because your stream at 400%.
so yeah, so this is
I
May
don't hear it.
June 2024. Just want to
I
go
think it's
through
Teams might not let
quickly.
you forward
Once the
horizon.
laptop
He
comes
is.
up,
I don't know
Have you on my account
I'll
right
just
now?
switch back there. But for now,
No,
let's see what we could do
I
here.
get
Right?
log just.
You hear them talk?
So
Yeah, you talking. The problem is
right, so
probably
this
out Teams
first
as well.
question, dealing with basically types of computers. So we're looking at hardware. So as a
Why how I
school
not
serving
authorized to join
students
on
at the
your
secondary
experience,
level,
boy?
school has embraced use of technology
Wait,
to
who you
enhance
trying to
teaching and
join?
learning.
I don't think
Two types
you-
of computers that can be
You- you-
used.
Oh,
You
So
guys
again,
send
we're
me the
testing
link.
us
What were
here
you going to do,
on
no,
boy?
man.
What the hell is
the
your
ability
background?
to understand types of computers,
Background-
yes, and
background
types of
pretty quiet out
computers
here.
we'd
You
have
to
gone
admit it.
through. When we
Is he
On
doing?
look at types of
Is he dog?
computers, the
Mine
Wait,
still
are
doing.
we
ways that
streaming
we
all
had
the
Kennedy,
time?
stop streaming,
categorized
Kennedy.
computers based on
No, I didn't press
um,
stream. I didn't even know I
size,
was streaming.
You forgot to stop
capacity,
streaming.
processing
Wait,
speeds,
roll. Why
etc.
the lamp post you up on the
Right?
story?
So in a school
Yeah, yeah,
environment,
they just show me that,
we're
and
looking
I
at
get
the types of computers
yeah,
that
but
will
I don't know
be
why you do
used
that
in the
for.
school or easily used in school. So things in terms
I
of
think that's Jamari and
um,
Omari, and then
something that is
Stephanie
not too
bottom line.
large, of course.
I left myself in, dog.
speeds, fairly good processing speed, storage capacity, etc.
Right, we hear
Right?
them, we
So
hear them, we hear them.
basically,
Yeah,
Right.
supercomputer,
We want to something,
mainframe,
we
these
want to
things are not
something.
really going to be
Yeah, man.
applicable at that
Actually,
point.
now we're
Well,
pretty
within
hard.
this
Right.
application. So we're looking at things, types of computers. We're looking at microcomputers.
Yeah, boy, Brando, boy.
So
You know
desktops,
what you need to do?
laptops.
You need to
Those are the
join
types
here
you
for
look
the
at
audio,
here
and then
because
you need to
again,
view from Microsoft
applicable within
itself.
the school environment. Again, what we'll
Early on this man, rich.
need to consider here
Bit myself
is the types of computers applicable within the school. All right, so
Right,
types of
good.
computers used by teachers here. Here you're looking, as I
Oh, it
said,
cancel out.
laptops,
Yeah, so on,
desktops,
so on.
Oh, it works.
Mike is not working.
microcomputers. You know, all of those
Oh
fall
my
under
God,
the
dude.
types of microcomputers. Of course, microcomputers have your microprocessor, right?
Oh my God.
One hardware
Nah,
device that they use for presenting
using
lessons in the
Google for the
classroom.
audio, and then he had
Right.
Microsoft Teams itself for the
Simple thing for presentation.
They sung like twice, so I don't know
Projector.
what.
Right, the projector
Oh,
is
hold on,
used
now
to
Oh wait,
present,
look at it working there.
show it on the board, right? You could also
with the
consider
login.
another hardware device. I mean,
just
that would be
spend,
the
like,
most common
5,
one
like,
that you'd be
50
looking
times
for
the
here.
amount of
Hardware
money.
devices for presenting lessons.
Yeah, we hear that. Yes.
You know, with new technology, we have things like you know, your touchscreen type boards, right? So your smart boards can also be an option here. That's one of the newer technologies that we can
No, I'm
also
trying to look for
look
something
at
to
in
give
this.
you,
But
like,
generally, hardware device to
Fine,
present, we
hold
look
on.
at projector,
Hey,
which will give us the ability to project onto a board or onto a screen
Yes.
to allow
My headset
lessons
breaking down.
to be presented in the classroom.
Even though.
Yeah, that one means like
Right.
giving you money.
School uses a
That's
database
straight
to
up
manage
like
its data, which is stored on its local network. Identify one
Right.
other storage method by
here,
which the
take this.
school can gain access to its data in the event that data on its local storage gets lost or becomes corrupted. Right? So it reduces the database to manage data on a stored local network. If we look at the ability now to protect our data, you know, data loss, data being secured, we look at storage of that data, not only on the local area, on the local network that they have, but also we look at the storage of that data externally. So some backup on an external, whether it's an external device, so could be a secondary storage device that is backed up on. But if we're looking at the school having this database, then other than having, you know, on let's say CD or something externally, we want ease of access because they're saying when the data in the local or storage gets lost or becomes corrupted, looking at the database, they may want quick access to it.
Oh,
Again,
he recording it, right? Oh, wait,
newer
my bad.
technology.
No, I recorded it
we look
after
at
text.
our
I think I was over there.
cloud storage, which gives us
Wait,
our
OBS not showing
online
the little red
storage,
button to
the
record.
ability to store data online.
So stop recording.
So cloud storage here would be the most, you know, the best method of storage that they can use to be able to access it other than local area network. All right, everybody okay with that, right? Any questions? Anytime you'll have questions, let me know. So everybody okay with that, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, all right, good. Just making sure too that you're hearing and following. So, right. So this, they said the following data was taken from the school's database, right? So you have basically here, just make it smaller so you can see. I'll increase it just now again. We have here the two tables, student table, and the student table contains the ID, student name, age, and grade level. And then we have a second table called the course table, which has an ID, which will be the course ID. And then we have a student ID, which corresponds to the table above with the student table. And then it gives us the different marks earned by the student in the different subject areas. All right, so those are the two tables we have. So first question they're asking here. So now they're looking at your ability to understand
you can't get no more.
databases.
Limited.
state the appropriate data types that would have been used in creating each of the following field names of the student table. Right, so student
only
ID.
started playing
Now,
like
if you just jump back
yesterday.
up to student ID to that table,
This is all I
we'll see that the student ID is made up of both letters and numbers. So therefore, we
the
can't say
biggest
that
thing that
it's
I probably get was
a
this
numerical
map,
only, but it is a
which I'm
text.
very proud of.
So we
but
could
that
in here we
dialogue
could
was
have
good.
text, right? If we go in a little further, no, text is fine. Text is acceptable, right? If we go in
With the
further in
mango,
Microsoft Access, we have
that mango and all.
short
It's
text
cool.
and long text in terms of the ability to have more data stored in one particular field. So this case, text is fine, as I said, but short text is also acceptable because student ID takes up only 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4, 8 characters basically, right? So short text can fit, or text as data type for student ID, right? Student, which is a name, again, text-based, so therefore text as well for student. Age is numerical, as we saw it there just now. It was a numerical value, so therefore number is fine for that. And grade level is also a numerical value.
Wait, I
So
could put up my
again,
Discord to you.
number is acceptable as data type there. So just remember, we have different data types in databases. We have text-based, which will take both alphabetical and numerical values in it. That's text. We have numbers, which will only take numerical values. We have the date time, right? We have Boolean, which is a yes, no, right? We could do in numbers, we could do things like currencies and things like that. So just to recall the different types of data, or different data types that we can create within our databases, right? So just to give you all a few other ones, but basically here is text for student ID, text for student, number for age, number for grade level, right? Right, state the field that would be used as a primary key in the student table. Well, we had a student ID. Student ID should be a unique value to identify a student, or a value that uniquely identifies a student, or a field, that uniquely identifies a student, right? So the student ID field should be unique. No student should have the same ID. So therefore, that will be the best field that can be used as a primary key. Remember, the purpose of a primary key is to uniquely identify a record, right? So student ID would be good at this in this case, right? Identify the field in the course table that can be used to link the course table and the student table, and state the name of the key given to the field. Well, if you just scroll back up, you'll be able to get our answer very easily. If we want to link or create a relationship between these two tables, normally, if you want to create that link with a common field, and we can see that there is a common field between the two tables. That common field is the student ID field. It does exist in the student table, and it exists in the course table, student ID there. So therefore, the best field used to do that, right, to link the two, is the student ID field. And then they ask us to state the name of the key given to that field. That type of field is known as a foreign key, right? A foreign key is a key that is a primary key in one field, but a non-primary key in one table that exists as a non-primary key field in another table. That is what is known as a foreign key. So we know that the student ID key field, is a primary key in the student table, but it also exists in the course table, but it exists as a non-primary key field, which is used to actually link or create a relationship between the two tables. so that you will be able to get the student data from the student table that, you know, relates or references data in the course ID table as well. Okay, so it's the name of it is a foreign key field, which is, as I defined just now, is a field that is a primary key in one table, but exists as a non-primary key field in another table, right? And in this case, the field was the student ID field, right? Good. The following is a result of a query which was designed to display the course average of each student. Now, this again, testing knowledge of databases. And what is a query? In this case, a query is a search through your database, pulling out particular information based on a specific criteria. Okay, so the criteria in this case, this was a query to display the course average of each student. Now, mind you, if you go back up to the course table, did we have an average here? No, we didn't. Right? So here we just had the student marks earned in the different subject areas. So actually what this query would also do is not only search through and you know, just show the average, but it actually works out the average. And that's what this query is used to do. So in this case, this query, it is not just one that searches, but it also does a calculation. So this is a calculated query to give results of a particular calculation in the query, right? So how we would have created this, we would have created this query by adding your tables to the query, choosing, or you actually the only table would be the course ID table. You would choose there, and you would select the student ID field, and you would select well, all the fields, the subjects would be there, but then you would create a new field in the query, and you would create a formula in that field, which would calculate the average. Of course, average will be the total of all divided by the number of subjects, and that would have been created there. So they said this is the query, result of a query which was designed to display the course average of each student, right? And the question is, state the feature that was used in the query to generate the course average. That is the calculated field feature.
Oh.
Right? So there is a feature in a query called calculated field.
In my head, everything.
And in that field, we would have created the function, well, in this case, the mathematical function to do the average. Okay? Which would total up your marks and divide it by the number of subjects or marks that we had. So the feature, specifically, to answer the question, the feature is the calculated field feature. All right? Right. When creating reports, so now testing databases still, right? And now reports for a database. When creating reports in a database, grouping can be very useful. Explain the purpose of grouping. Well, the purpose of grouping is so that if we have data for, you know, common, in this case, we could maybe say students. So a student does a group of subjects, right? You can group by student ID and show all the subjects for that student rather than the student ID and data repeating for each subject. So like we present in a report with the data we have, and it may say student 1 doing biology, and then we'll have student 1 again doing chemistry, student 1 again doing math, student 1 again doing computer science. But you don't want to show the data of student 1 all the time, right? So instead of doing that, you group it so that you group the data by student ID. So that student ID 1, you would see the data once, their name maybe, and then you would see biology, chemistry, math, computer science, all these different subjects listed under that one student data rather than it repeating all the time. So what does grouping does? Grouping has the ability of grouping data together based on a particular field so that there's no repetition of data. No, that repetition will take up space, will make things, monotonous and not look, laid out properly. All right. So basically that grouping will assist in making that report more readable, making it easier to see and reducing repetitive data being presented. Okay. Right. Going again. So look at this one question, guys. I just want, again, pay attention. We did hardware up on top, types of computers, etc. And then we went into databases. We did a whole section on databases. And now we're coming down here to the next part, security, data security, etc. So the school recently held security workshops for both staff and students to heighten their awareness of security threats and practices. Part 1 here. Describe 2 ways by which staff can protect their computers and data from possible security threats. Well, the 2 ways we could describe, now we have 2 general categories of protection. We have physical protection and we have software protection, right? Or physical security and software security. So physical security, if you want to go into detail now, physical security methods will be things in terms of protecting the computer, is protecting those devices from actual physical access by people. So they could lock them away when they are not in use. So overnight, they go in a cabinet and they are locked away. They lock the door to their classroom, things like that. They may put it in a desk that has a lock. So physically, no one can get to them. And we could also talk about software security measures, which are things like using passwords, authentication, so multiple authentication methods, password, and maybe a personal identification number, a PIN number, things like that, right? Only authorized access from, persons who have the ability to log in and things like that. All right, so again, if you talk about 2 ways here, you can talk about physical access or physical security measures, as well as we can talk about software security measures. So any 2 will go here. All right, look at the marks, 4 marks. So they say describe, if they say describe 2 ways, then we have to earn 2 marks per method or the way in which you would have described it. So it's not just stated, it's about explaining. So if you talk about physical security measures, you have to mention, if I'm locking it in a cabinet, it means that no one gets access, so I'm protecting my device, therefore protecting whatever data is on it. Okay, so data from possible security threats, so nobody gets access, so therefore nobody can access the data. When we go to software security, again, we're looking at nobody getting access to the data because they can access the device through software means. The authorization, authentication, logging in, etc. Right? Good. State 2 personal security measures students should take when they are online. So specifically, this now is student online. So 2 personal security measures. Well, you could discuss things like if you have different security features on your computer, firewalls, things like that to protect outside or external access to your device, right? Students should not access sites that they cannot identify, if it's a secured site, things like that. So they may look at the web page name, is it HTTPS, which has securities on it, things like that, or safe browsing. All of these things personal security measures. Don't click on links that you're not sure are safe. Be careful with emails that have links in them or attachments. Don't open those things that you don't know coming from somebody that you're not sure about or things like that. So all of those are personal security measures that students can take. Again, these are things that you all know because you're all on the computers often. So not difficult questions here. All right, good. So we okay with that question 1, 20 marks. Everybody okay with that? Any questions on any one of those topic areas that we looked at there? Or is everybody okay?
No, we're fine. Don't worry, sir.
All right. Well, I take it no questions is a good thing, right? So,
Excuse me, I had a question.
Yeah.
So for question E part 1, I thought one of the methods of software security would have been like the firewall, but then in the question following that, you said the firewall. So is it that the firewall only applicable to the second part, or is it applicable in both parts?
No, it could be applicable on top because they say staff to protect. You could install a firewall as well to protect. So that's also applicable there.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. You could have put it in both, and the answer would have been acceptable because it is a method of software security. All right. Any other questions? Everybody okay? All right, nice, good. So we did some revision on some different topics there. We did databases, so everybody got a little revision on databases. Get some revision on security, protection, things like that. We got some revision on some hardware devices and computers, right? So we did some revision on all those topic areas that we looked at there. All right, good. Number 2. Right, so Impact Security Services provide a number of security options for its clients that include security guards for personal and business purposes, as well as monetary pickups. Company recently added computer and data security services along with a product line of security equipment. The following is an invoice that was sent to a customer from the sales department. So we have an invoice, so we have the name of the company, etc., invoice, right. So we're seeing it there. So you're seeing everything, good. So I just scroll down slowly so you could see the design of this, right? Because I assume they're going to ask us questions on it. So I'll come back up if necessary. All right, state the word processing feature that was used to create the invoice. Well, what word processing feature you all think was used to create this invoice? Anybody have any idea what you all think? I'm going to get you all involved a little bit too.
Like creating a table.
Yeah, you could use a table. Yeah, you could format your table to have your different areas, spaces, fields, sections, or things like that, right? You'll just have to make your adjustments, etc. But yes, table can be used to do this, right?
Okay.
This type of invoice, right? Good. Identify the justification that has been applied to all monetary values. Quickly, what are the different types of justification? Before we get the answer to this, when you talk about justification of letters, numbers, words, etc., what are the different types? We have which ones? Somebody tell me quick. Let's revise.
Revising.
I have left align, center align, and right align, sir.
Right, so we have left, we have centered, we have right, and then we also have justified. Right, so that's one of the last ones. So we have left, which should of course align it to the left.
From the market.
Right, which will align it to the right, well, left margin and then right margin. And then center would of course center it down a center margin. And then justified means what the lettering or the words, etc., will be aligned or spaced in such a way that both sides or edges will be straight and aligned on the margin, both left and right. Right? So if you align center only, sometimes the edges become jagged because the words may not line up properly. Right? Or if you're Left align, it will be aligned on the left, and right side might be jagged. If you align to the right will be straight in line, but the left might be jagged. It will view and look jagged because the words don't line up properly. Center align, both sides, because it now aligned to the center. So both sides might have different lengths and spacings, but justified will make adjustments of spaces in between the words so that both sides align to left and right margins. So it becomes a nice level straight on both sides, right? So the alignment types that we have, or justifications that we have: left, right, center, and then justified. In this case, to the monetary values, if we scroll up and see, of course, we see monetary values are aligned to the right margin. So therefore, it's right alignment. All right, that's not, let me just, laptop now coming back up. So let me just type in my password.
You mean the laptop? What? I know, yeah, but we.
Nice, let it start up
You
there.
use with
Right.
laptop. Come on.
Good. All right, so part 3. The company's logo is missing from the
Okay.
invoice. It's stored in a desktop folder on the sales manager's computer. List in correct order the steps that should be taken to insert the logo to the right of the company's name. Now, these are types of questions that sometimes give students trouble. Why? Because of the fact that it's easier to, when you're doing it, to remember visually, to see. Like when you're in Word, you look at it and you say, oh, I have to go here. So to these types of questions, we always have, I'll let you all know, teachers always have discussions and try to send comments to CXC about these types of questions, because it's difficult sometimes for students to visualize in an exam what needs to be done. You could do it when you're on the computer really, really easily, because if you open up Word, it's nice to see. You see the instructor, you kind of see the icons in front of you. You see the tab in front of you that may give you the ability to choose it. But sometimes it's difficult. So some of these, you'll just need to practice your Word, practice Excel, and that's the whole purpose of your SBA as well, to help practice these things. So you get to do these things as well. So to insert this logo, right, and it's in correct order, I mean, there are different ways it can be done, right? But basically, if they say to insert the logo to the right of the company's name. Now, if I scroll back up, right of the company's name, so the name is Impact Security, you want it to the right of that. Therefore, you need to place your cursor where you have Impact Security. You could place the cursor after Impact, right? Or if you have the spacing, you put it in the space after Impact Security Services, or right after Impact. Let your cursor, place your cursor there first. Once you place your cursor there first, then you could go to the Insert tab, and the Insert tab, you'll be able to insert, I think the option will be to insert a picture, and that picture will, then you choose the location where the picture is stored, and they say it is stored on the manager in a folder on the desktop. So you'll be able to access the desktop and the picture. You'll select it, you'll click insert, and it will insert the picture where the cursor was laid out or was placed, and that's why we use it there, right? You may, after that, have to make some adjustments of if that logo is, in front of the text or behind the text. If it's in front of the text, it will make up a big space, and it will make a space in between your lines. When it goes behind the text, then it becomes background, and the text will be in front, and therefore it will remain in line. Now, that's something that you may not really need to put in, but really, order of it should be place cursor after Impact, the word Impact, or in the space after Impact, right? And that same line, click on the Insert menu, choose insert picture, select the picture from the desktop file, right? You'll be able to select the location and then choose insert or double click on it, where you could choose insert and the picture will be insert, and then you could do the adjustments or the formatting of the picture size, etc., which will be the logo. All right. So those are your different steps. Right. So that's some things on Word. Now this one, company's website was recently updated to include the new services and products available. Outline 2 checks that should be carried out before publishing a website. So in general, they wanted to know here what you should do to see that you have a website, working properly. So 2 of the things you should do is check that different links within the website are working properly. Because they say here was recently updated to include new services and products available. Now, you may have a home page that will link to the different products, the different services that they offer. So you may not have everything on the home page, but the home page will be the first page the person goes to, clicks on it and goes to another page that has the services and products, right? What you need to make sure before publishing is that the links that go from the home page to these other pages are working. So make sure that all links. So one of the things to do, make sure that all hyperlinks within your pages are working properly, right? So that's linking from page to page. If you have other types of links, linking to pictures or things like that, should be there, should work properly. Test those before you actually publish the website, right? Another check is to ensure that the images, if you have images on it, are displaying properly, right? Make sure that, those things can show properly. Make sure other things that you could do, make sure the text is the size that you want, make sure everything is clear, everything is understandable, formatting is done properly. All of those are checks that we could do before publishing, because you don't want it published and persons can't access it. They can't view images. They can't click on links and move from page to page. Generally, how a website should work, test that everything is working well, right? Good. When customers hire Impact Security Services for their computer and data security needs, company does an audit to assess the areas of vulnerability and the possible threats that may occur. So again, now this goes back a little bit into security of your system, of your data, things like that, right? I don't know how come they tested so much on security in this one, but there was the kind of above, and now we see it again. Now, define each of the following terms in relation to computer security and provide an example of each. So, vulnerability. Now, the understanding of a vulnerability is a weakness. If let's say a home, and you're looking at security access of your home, right? The vulnerable areas may be windows that don't have burglar proofing. That's a vulnerability. So similarly, if you're talking about computer security, a vulnerability is a weakness in your security or protection that you have on your computer, which someone may use to access things on your computer, right? So a vulnerability is a weakness that may be used to access your computer or files and stuff on your computer. That's a vulnerability, right? So it may be that you don't have a firewall. It may be that you don't have an antivirus, right? It may be that you don't have a password to access your computer. That's a vulnerability. That's a weakness, right? It doesn't mean that someone actually went and did anything. It just means that exists. That weakness is there, making it possible for someone to maybe access your device. That's a vulnerability. A threat, on the other hand, is someone actually being able to do it. So a threat is someone accessing your device using or making use of a vulnerability that you may have had, right? So a threat, someone may threaten and say, listen, I'm going to send you a virus, right? Or a threat will exist when you open an email with an attachment and you don't have an antivirus. The vulnerability or the weakness was you not having any antivirus, but the threat presents itself in or through the email with the attachment that, because you don't
As
have
you'll
an
be writing on this,
antivirus, wouldn't be scanned.
Shucks.
Right? So you're not going to scan the attachment before you open it. Basically, we're looking at an issue, and that's a threat. Now, would it, lead to some issue? We're not sure. That's where the threat comes in. It may be a threat. Is it going to affect your computer? It may or may not. But that's where the threat comes from.
Oh gosh, boy.
Right? And that's, you're not saying something actually happened, but there's a possibility of it. That is a threat. All right? So vulnerability is a weakness, and a threat is the ability to make use of that weakness for someone to access your device. All right? Good. So those are security issues being dealt with there. Right? Good. Computer, no coming back up properly. Part D, company hosts webinars on its website every month to discuss different types of security threats and attacks that companies may be exposed to. State one example of each of the following security threats and attacks that may be discussed in the webinar just now. Start back up just now. To open back up this one, just wrote in some stuff on my laptop there to get back onto Teams and things, right? Good. So the first one, state one example of each of the following security threats and attacks that may be discussed at the webinars. All right, so they have industrial espionage, right? Industrial espionage, of course, is where we have espionage is spying, basically. So industrial espionage is where we have companies that would be spying on each other. Different ways to do that. You may have someone in the company who is providing, details about certain things going on in the business and selling it to another company, right? And sharing secrets from one company to another. That's industrial espionage. It's kind of spying in between our companies, right? Denial of service attack, right? A denial of service attack is where someone may create or have the ability to not allow access to certain features or certain services by creating, if you want to say, I may not be able to access a website or submit an application for something because what someone else did was flood that system with applications, right? So there's a special Amazon, let's say Amazon has a special and someone wants to get it and they're saying, okay, the 5th person or the 10th person will get this. And what someone does is floods it so that other people can't get it. That's a denial of service. So denial of service is not always, something with somebody taking something from someone or whatever. It just is the ability for someone to block access to services by doing things like that, by flooding it, by blocking it off, using certain things, and other people will not be able to get access to the service. right? So sometimes it's not about people accessing your device. It's simply about not allowing others to access certain services, right? Ransomware, we hear a lot about this, where people hold data for ransom. So we know about kidnapping somebody and holding them for ransom. Well, this is about holding data for ransom. That persons may get onto your computer, lock you out of your computer, or lock you out of accessing data on your computer, and then tell you, hey, you want to get access to your computer, you want to get access to your data, you need to pay. You need to pay a ransom. So that's ransomware, right? Data theft, of course, is the ability for someone to steal your data, whether it's on your computer, so whether it's stored somewhere, or even data theft happening during transmission of data from one point to the next. Okay, so in transmission, someone could steal your data. You could have what is known as electronic eavesdropping, which means someone monitoring the transmission lines from you to external sources. And through those external lines, they could tap in and get the data. That's also has the ability of doing data theft. Okay? So those are, again, revision on all of those things there. Part E, state two ways in which phishing messages are sent. Well, phishing here, of course, not the phishing where you go and you throw out your line and you fish and you catch a fish.
Oh gosh, right.
But this is PHISING, but it has the same, connotation, if you want, where phishing is you put out bait for someone to access a particular, if it's a particular site or something like that, which is not real. So a phishing message might be, right? And this is not answering the question yet. This is about what is a phishing message. First of all, a phishing message might be something that is sent to you telling you your account has been locked. Click this link to unlock your account. Yeah, whether it be a bank account or Amazon account or your Teams account or some other account. And that message comes to you saying that your account has been locked and you need to click on this link to unlock it. Those types of messages you have to be very careful about, because sometimes the link is not a valid link. Although it looks valid, even when you click on it, the interface looks valid, it's not always valid. You have to be careful about that. Now, how can they be sent? Well, one of the easiest ways is email. People email it, and you'll just click it and open it and say, oh gosh, look, this is happening, let me click on the link. And through that, the phishing message will then be able to collect data from you. So it's kind of a clickbait type of thing, and that's why we say phishing. It puts out bait for you. The bait is your account has been locked. Hey, I don't want a locked account. I need access to this. I need access to data. I need access to my business account, my bank account. So the bait there is that telling you you don't have access anymore. And once you click on that link and you provide certain data or information through that link, well, problems. They start to get your data. Okay, so emails one way, and then more recently we start getting a lot of these phishing messages coming through social media, WhatsApp, generally WhatsApp, but you have different social media, things, whether it's WhatsApp, your Instagrams, all of these, you have the ability for phishing messages. So two ways, emails, social media, WhatsApp, things like that. Right? Good. So that's question 2 and next 20 marks. Any questions on anything discussed there? We did some things at Word and we did a lot of security.
All right.
Everybody okay there?
Yeah, Stefan, I've committed now.
Good.
Yes, sir.
Right. So let me just now. My laptop taking real long to start up properly, boy.
What I need to
my laptop,
do
boy?
is, I think my phone was discharging a little. So what I'm going to do just now, I have to unplug my headphones. So I'll have to
What?
just use the speaker and the, oh gosh, come on, computer, come on, starting up. Yeah. So I will just take off my headset. So I just hope you all hear me properly with the mic on the phone as well. So let me just disconnect that and plug it in charge a little bit. Right, you all still hearing me there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, good.
Yes, sir.
All right, so let me just make sure this is charging at us now. I'm just taking off this for a minute. Like this now. Hold on.
Wait, will you screenshot? Oh, you screenshot his thing. Oh.
Charging. Hold on, I'm trying to get this to charge.
Wait. I want to see the game, the little microphone muted thing. Oh wait, I now seeing Kenan profile picture properly. That's Lego Kendrick.
Not picking
I
up
thought
the
that was the
charge.
actual Kendrick. That's actually real cool. He didn't spot it.
Felt it just now.
What? Don't worry about that way. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that.
Right, now get it to charge. All right, cool.
Man, you on both sides. You on both sides.
Bring back up. Right, so you. Right, so still hearing me there, right?
Yes, sir.
Nice, good. And seeing screen again with the question, yeah? Yes, sir. Nice, good. Right. So, number 3. Kickstart Investments offers a range of options to its clients from low-risk to high-risk investments. Due to an increase in clientele, the decision was made to open a second office in another city. So, see, we're talking about networks here now.
Hey, look,
So, our next topic area, networks. Right, so both office locations have their own local area network. Identify the type of network that we needed to connect both locations, right? So we know that local area networks, we have different types of networks. Local area, which is your LAN.
Nokia.
We have
that song actually
metropolitan area networks, MAN, M-A-N. So local area networks, just to revise, quick revision. Local area networks, small geographic area.
Local area networks.
Normally a building within one building of a school, things like that. Metropolitan area network, MAN, within a city or metropolitan area. We have campus area networks within a campus only. Right now, that may be a huge area, but it is only accessible to students and teachers with access to the campus, to the network itself. So a campus may be a large space.
The way I feel right now
is still not open to everybody. So sometimes there are restrictions to who could access that network. So it may, other than it being within the area of the campus only, it will only allow access by certain people. Right? Unlike metropolitan area, the city, anybody could access it. And then we have wide area network, which is in a wide geographic area. Right? Good. Those are the basic ones that we should really know about. Right? So now they have 2 offices, 2 different locations in another city. So therefore, if you're looking at each location having its local area network that is building within the office building, small geographic area, if you go into a different city, then the next one we're looking for is a wide area network to connect the 2 locations in the 2 different cities. Right? So a wide area network or WAN. Differentiate between intranet and extranet. Right? So we have 2 terms here. Again,
terms that are accessible, but not accessible. So when I say internal, it means that only employees of that company will be able to access that network. That's an
Jayden, are they paying
internal
for this?
network, right? That's intranet.
Way.
And
Well, the
then
teacher done better than we teacher, you know.
is the type of network that
We need to pay for we teacher.
but is a company
Yeah, we have
network,
to pay 300.
but it allows access to
Yeah, do 300 per
certain
person, you know, it's a real good thing we
external
pirate. It
entities,
didn't even worth 300
provided
self.
that there's a mutual benefit to be gained.
The man make a easy
For
little
example,
3,900.
Basically.
Companies that do manufacturing,
You could have pirated it, you know. I don't know why you're gonna pay the full 300.
I
they may
didn't know
create
I was doing
an
it.
extranet
Because you
or that
didn't read
relationship,
anything.
that ability
No,
for supplying
obviously not.
or suppliers of raw material to access certain aspects of the internal network.
Oh wait.
So they may have a network that keeps track of raw material inventory. Right? They manufacture a product and there's raw material required for that. Right? You have suppliers of that raw material, and what the company would want to do is, listen,
Yeah, well, the
supply me
Tuesday.
with this particular raw material. I am providing you with access
We have
to
to
my
hear what the
internal
Tuesday.
network, but only
Literally, we have paper one.
data about the raw material you provide me with. So you can see when my inventory is running low.
No, I need to make sure I do good on paper one.
If my inventory
Because
is
I don't know
running
good
low,
on paper two.
you can send more for me. So that extranet is created where we have an internal network with data, internal data, but there are certain parts of that
I want to sleep.
that are
I say we sleep.
that are accessible to specific outer.
She say bored.
She
say
coming
bored.
back on and off. Yeah, that are only
The
accessible to
laptop come
certain
Anushka,
external entities.
Anushka, tell him tell him
that's an
exactly what
extranet.
happened to your laptop, boy. Anushka, look, the same thing happening.
Right.
Anushka.
Complete the following paragraph by filling the blank spaces with the most appropriate term from the word list below. So we have a set of words here. So you go into
Anushka, you can speak it, Anushka. Anushka, we're not going to have
testing
it
the
here, you
ability
know.
for you to know terms and meanings, basically, because
You
they'll
don't
talk
cost
about
as much.
different things here. So shortly after opening the new office, some of the employees and customers were experiencing difficulties completing tasks. The something did some troubleshooting and realized that the something that converts digital data to analog was disconnected from the. So we go in, right?
Yeah.
So
you could speak, you know, you don't need to type. You don't need to type
right,
unless
you
you have
see
an
here,
actual excuse. Then yeah, you can continue typing.
somebody would have had to have done some
I was
troubleshooting,
just doing work.
right? So
for you to
again,
verbally
employees
speak
and
to instead
customers,
of
remember
typing.
they have a network, they're managing a
Yeah,
network,
sorry.
right? So what we're looking at here, difficulties in completing tasks, employees and customers.
Yeah, I forget to save these
Which
PowerPoints.
means we're looking at the ability for some internal people and external customers to access different aspects of the company, which means we're looking more than likely onto our website. So
It's nobody's sleepy yet.
out of these
I feel
here,
like I just want something.
right, we may see
So done.
if it's customers and employees, website maybe, as I said, so
I will
therefore
sleep anytime.
it may be
I do sleep during the day no matter what, but
did some
I don't
troubleshooting
it's a little
and
silly story,
realized
dude.
that
Alright, so
what device will
basically,
convert
when I was
digital
small,
data
right,
to
in standard
analog,
5,
well, of course,
Liana, they come over to,
there,
I don't even know what, I
was
think,
disconnected
my
from
father wanted to talk to Shifa, right, so I was just sleeping, but I was sleeping in my jockey shorts.
right? And again, if
But I was like in standard 5, so like,
you know, web-based, then we look at the web server
in primary
because
school,
it says here
so I don't sleep during,
that
so I don't
manages
sleep
and
during the
serves
day
all
anymore.
the
That is the
computers on
entire
the
reason
network,
why.
right? So yes,
That's
we
the
have
whole
server
reason why.
alone, but this one might be the web server, right? Because that's the one that connected there. This prevented the employees from going online and accessing the. If you go online, you'll access the web page.
And a little jockey
Or-
shorts and an armor shirt, you know.
I shouldn't say that.
The
Or
white,
going
the
on and
white
accessing
shirt.
the internet, right? You could put web page or internet. I think it fits in either one, right? Good. The employees on the third floor were unable to access certain files on the network due to a power supply failure of the, in this case, the server, right? Because the server would have
Wait,
gone down,
you know how you-
basically.
Doing Pokemon and streaming that at the same time.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
forget you.
All right.
I
Sorry,
forget you
I
have your
didn't
phone.
read the
You have a
rest.
phone, you
I
know.
was used to connect all the
So-
devices on that floor to the main computer that manages the network.
Anushka,
Sorry,
we just send my.
not the server,
No,
but it
What
will
did
be
you
the, in this case,
I have no idea.
the switch.
Oh wait, how to
Right,
do a
so
meal merge?
the employees on the third floor are able to access
Oh, wait,
certain
what is
files in the
it?
network due to a power supply
Oh, how to?
failure
Oh, wait, I copied
of the
this.
switch, because the
need to get
switch
this.
is used to connect
Hey, at
From
least you could
one-
explain a meal merge, right?
part of the network to the next,
At
or
least.
connect all these devices to the server. So that was used to connect all devices to the main computer that manages the
Wait.
network. So this will be switch.
400%. I can't even hear
And
Anushka
then
still, you know.
This one talking about the website. So this one,
Oh, you get disconnected from
this
the
one
meeting,
would be
yes?
the web manager.
Is that better?
Right. So therefore,
Yeah, that
again,
better.
we see as we read along, we may say, so this one, the one where we talk about web manager here. This
I know,
one would be
I might just
your
roll.
network administrator if you want, controlling the network. Right? Did they say we use only once? No,
Well,
it could actually be used multiple times. Filling blanks is most appropriate. Yeah, they didn't say one would be used only once. So I think either web manager or network administrator there, right? But they talk here about checks that reveal the website. So we could say web manager may have done that, which reveal that some of the, and if they talk about
Kennedy,
website were
Kennedy, mute your
broken,
mic, boy.
here we have,
Mute your mic,
remember
boy.
you spoke earlier about checking to make sure hyperlinks were working.
Oh,
If they're not
my
working,
bad.
the hyperlinks will be broken. So hyperlinks on the website were broken, and this prevented customers from completing certain transactions because the links weren't taking them to the correct pages. All right, good. So again, questions like this, just read through, try to get the meanings, try to follow through and see which ones fit in best. All right. Right. Kickstart investment needs an algorithm. So now we're into algorithm development.
Hey,
Written
I
to
hate
accept
these Kickstart investment people.
the initial investment amount made and the rate of return. Algorithm should calculate and print the return on investment earned using the formula below. We give us the formula. Complete the following IPO chart for the algorithm to be written. So they said to accept initial investment amount made and the rate of return. So remember, when you created an IPO chart, this is the analysis of a problem. The IPO chart, the first thing we do, we try to get the input, look for keywords, keyword here, to accept. Ask ourselves, what do we accept? We accept the initial investment amount made and the return and the rate of return. So that will be under input. Under input, investment amount made and the rate of return. We then look for what is the output, because we have to know what's the output to know what's the processing. They said print the return on investment by using that formula. So output would be the return on investment. And then, of course, processing would be calculate return of investment using that formula. Okay? And you have the initial investment, you have the rate of return, which you could use with all of these. Right? So that's that. Our pseudocode would be, remember, there are certain aspects of how we could write a pseudocode. Again, finite number of steps. Steps must be unambiguous, must be clear, must have begin and end, things like that, right? So pseudocode for this, you would have a begin, prompt for our input, initial investment and rate of return, read initial investment, comma, rate of return, or rate, they're using rate here, as you could see in the question, rate, right? then do the calculation. Return on investment is equal to initial investment, and you write it out. And then you use the output statement, which is return on investment. Sorry, right? So that will be an algorithm. Okay. Make sure you have a begin and end. Make sure you do your inputs, things like that. All right. Good. Right. Initial investment is greater than 100,000, then your rate of return is 45%. And if initial investment is less than or equal to 100,000, then your rate of return is 37%. Write an appropriate compound conditional statement to evaluate each rate. What do we mean by compound is that you group them together, right? So you'll have if initial investment greater than 100,000, right? Then you will have your rate of return is 45%. Else, because you see is less than or equal to, so one is greater than, one is less than or equal to, which means is the opposite, is one or the other, right? So which means else rate of return is 37%, and that's what we'll write as a statement there. If initial investment greater than 100,000, then rate of return equal 45%, else rate of return equal 37%. If then else. Right? State return on investment that would be received if initial investment amount was 150 and rate of return was 45%. Well, let's work that out. I ain't gonna work out that for you all. Right? Notice question 3 is 25 marks. Question 1 and 2 are 20, 3 and 4 are 25. Right? So this one is just nice. I ain't gonna work out that for you all. That's too easy. Right? Any questions on that number 3 there? Anything with the programming? Anything tested there that we're not sure about?
Nah, so we getting through.
Sir, we're allowed to carry a calculator on the exam?
Well, that's actual question.
I know of. Right? But this,
okay.
I mean, when you look at these types of questions, they give easy, fairly simple questions here, because this would be return on investment was the formula. The formula was given on top here. So it will be 150 plus 150 by 45 over 100 minus 150. So 150,000 by 45 over 100, your thing's going to cancel off. So you'll have 1,500 by 45. I mean, you could work that out and then you add back your 150 and things. So it's not too difficult to work. Right?
So I think you can use the calculator unless the moderator tell you can't, only then so, because plenty of people say they walk in with calculators already and the moderator never tell them anything. So I'm not too sure if they're loud or...
It's the same thing for biology. It depends on the examiner if they're feeling chill or not.
Huh?
I mean, how about?
Right, well, it will say here then. It used to be previously you could not. But that was before the last syllabus change, which took off things like binary numbers. And understanding the calculations with binary numbers. How to convert from binary to decimal, decimal to binary, representing data using binary, doing binary addition and things like 2's complement and things that came off the syllabus. So I figure since they took that off, they may have then allowed you to use calculators, because I'm not seeing in the instructions here, which normally used to say cannot use calculators. It's not here anyway. So I guess that you can then. Right? So yeah, I assume you can. Right, so let's go down. Let's try and finish let's finish number 4. Right. Good. So Nigel is the manager at Elite Sports, a small sports club that provides its members with access to personal training and multiple sporting activities. Nigel takes data from application forms filled out by potential customers and enters it into the system for effective record keeping. right? So now what we're looking at is errors, verification, validation, etc. State one type of error that could be present after entering the data from the application form. Well, we have two things that could be here. We have transcription errors and transpositional errors. Transcription means you copied the wrong thing. You made an error from the form to typing it in. And then transposition, you typed in things in the wrong order. Those are the two types of errors we could choose from. So you choose one of those, which could be here. Transcription is normally the most common one that you could use, because transcription, well, when anytime you're taking data from a form and typing it over, you have more than likely you could have transcription errors happening. All right, as is more likely for that to happen. All right. Describe two verification checks that can be performed when entering data from the application form. So in order to avoid or ensure data accuracy, what we do, we have verification and validation checks. Verification verifies that the data was basically copied across correctly.
Beautiful.
So verification tries to reduce transcription errors. So it ensures that what was on the form is actually what was entered into the computer. So that's verification. Validation, which is the next method of ensuring data accuracy, ensures that the data is correct, right? By checking to see that the data follows certain rules or criteria for data entry, right? With verification, we have two basic methods. We have double data entry, where data is entered twice and compared. If they are matched, then data is accepted. Or we have a visual check, right? Which means you actually visually look at the source document and you look at where you typed it in and say, all right, here is correct, right? Also known as proofreading. You could proofread it and make sure everything is correct. That's verification. And then there are a whole set of validation checks, criteria to ensure data is correct. Things, checks like range checks, format checks, data type check, reasonableness check. I think I said format, right? The things that criteria that will check to see if the data is correct, right? So there are different types of validation checks. Good. Spreadsheets now. Following spreadsheet shows money is collected from members for training at the sports club for 1 week. So you have names, activity, hours, cost per hour, amount due, etc. Name the spreadsheet function that will display the number of cells in the range B3 to B10 that contain the activity tennis. So basically, we're looking through B3, which is badminton, down to B10, which is tennis, right? The spreadsheet function that will display the number of cells that have tennis, right, will be the count if. So it will count the cell if it meets the criteria specified. The criteria will be count if is equal to tennis. And that's how the condition will be set up. Count if the cell is equal to tennis. Right? So but the feature, so it will count and say, oh, we have 3. Right? Write the formula that was used in cell E3 to calculate the amount due. So E3, just to jump back up. E3 is this so it's in E3, so we have our cell E3, which would be 10,400.
IT particle theory.
Amount due. So the formula that would be there would be equal C3 multiply
the particle theory of
D3. Remember, please, formula.
Oh wait, that's actually useful. No, that's actually useful. I'm useful.
always put it with an equal sign. So the answer here would be equal
Yeah.
C3 multiplied by what asterisk D3. Right? Good.
Oh,
Next,
wait.
the if function
Yes, it's
performs a
Kennedy.
logical comparison
Yes, it's
between two
Kennedy. If you didn't
values
figure it out.
in a spreadsheet. Describe the syntax of the if function. So very similar to what we had described or kind of understood and what we'll understand from programming. We have if, and how the syntax of the if function goes. We have if, open bracket. You have your condition.
Oh, practical.
Right? So
oh,
you have your if.
You put particle on the sky. You put particle.
Then your outcome if true and your outcome if false. So it will be if open bracket.
Yes, it's Kennedy.
For example, if open bracket
if
B5 equal 10, comma, or B5 greater than 10, comma, your output if is true,
why you have two of these
might
bird?
be good, comma, and your output if false, bad. So basically you're looking here to say, well, okay, let's say B3 contain the mark a student earned in a test, just saying, right? Don't worry with the table on top, right? B3 contain the mark that a student earned in a test. You could say if open bracket B3 greater than, well, let's say 45. B3 greater than 45, comma, pass, comma, fail. So what will happen is that if they made greater than 45 is a pass. Anything 45 or below is a fail. So we describe the syntax there would be, you could say if open bracket will equal if open bracket condition, comma, outcome if true, comma, outcome if false. That's the syntax describing that you have your criteria, and of course you have your outcome if false, true and outcome if false.
Oh yeah,
That's
I am the one is a lima. As a lima.
Good.
Hey, message
If both the
number
primary field and the secondary field use to sort the data,
oh yeah, message Kennedy.
identify, sorry.
Right, yeah,
Both the
that is
primary
Alim.
field and the secondary field use to sort data as displayed in the spreadsheet. So jumping back up to the spreadsheet.
Wait, Alim tell you happy birthday, alright.
So the primary field used to sort data
it's a good, as a good friend, you know.
would be
You didn't
which
even
one?
save Alim number, you know. You didn't even save Alim.
Right? Primary field here would be
Save
activity
Kennedy, boy.
because we see
Save
it
Kennedy,
B,
boy. Save Kennedy.
and then S and
Fred
T.
Young.
Right?
Kennedy was Fred.
And then within there, we can see that under badminton, we see we have
Just because
A and well,
because he can swim.
first
He can
name.
swim.
Let's see which other one.
Right.
We can't really tell LP that of TC. So this one is not following tennis.
You said that, boy, eh?
Is not following an alphabetical order because this will only look at the first letter LP, TC, etc. Isn't following, but the first one is activity because we see that in alphabetical
message
order.
Kennedy number
right?
one time so you can
But then
remember to add it
within each one of those, we can see that session
yeah, that
hours
one, yeah.
goes from
Kennedy.
the highest to lowest. Badminton, we see
I
8
know
and
work,
6.
he do mine.
Basketball, 12-9. Swimming will only 1-4. Tennis, we see 12-10-6. So it starts the highest and goes down lower. So primary key field is activity, and secondary field is the session hours. So the answer to
I
this,
think you need sleep, you know.
primary field, activity, secondary field, the session hours. Because that's how it's sorted. All right, pseudocode again. So you have this pseudocode created to generate total funds received from member payments. So we start total equals 0, print amount due, read amount due, while amount due not equal to 0, know that is be an equal sign. Do total equal total plus amount due, then print enter amount due for next member, read amount due. End while. Right? Print total amount collected, which is the total. All right? Design a flowchart. So remember, flowchart is a graphical representation of a pseudocode algorithm. What do I mean by a graphical representation? It uses specific symbols. So the symbols that are used are as follows. The oval will be a start and stop. Parallelogram, used for input and output. Rectangle, used for
Oh, my phone
processing
dying.
calculations. And diamond, used for conditional, if then else. And your arrows, of course, to show the flow
Oh
of
gosh,
data.
you have me see as key Shiva
So a
here.
flow chart for this would
Key
start off with
Shivas.
your
Key Shivas.
start in your oval.
Key Shivas.
Arrow, total equals 0 would be a rectangle, total equals 0. Arrow again. Prompt would be an output. So parallelogram for the prompt and the read. The while would be in a diamond, right? So you have the while. The arrow come out of the bottom of it for true. And after you finish, these are the two statements, which would be total would be in a rectangle, and then the print and read would be in a parallelogram.
Hey, I don't think
You
we
would
do
have
it.
an arrow
Hey, I
going
don't think
back
we
up
do
to
it.
one
Anything
side
applies here, though.
of the diamond, which shows the loop.
I don't think we do it.
And then
We
from
do
the other side of
nothing
the
productive,
diamond, you
though.
would have, if it's false, so when we finish with the number of repetitions we have to do, when the person enters 0, right, it would come down to the next print, which would be in a
Yeah, man,
parallelogram again.
Hey,
Yeah, so you'll just have to put the statements in the correct symbol to earn your marks here, right? Right. Okay, I think that's it. So that's it for that question. So draw a flow chart, pseudocode. Yeah, so this is blank.
You will go home.
All right.
No, wait. So I'll go to school.
Well, we finished as
All right,
2024 there. I think, well, I don't want to keep you all too much, but I think we revised quite a bit. We did some things on hardware. We touched on a lot of data security. We did some little Word. We did databases. We revised databases quite a bit. We revised some on Excel, well, spreadsheets. We revised some programming, problem solving, networking.
Of course, son. I'll be
Right,
in your
all of those
daddy.
areas we revised.
I don't even know self. I don't even know
All
how
right,
that happened.
so what I want
Just
to
woke
do
up.
maybe
Yeah,
tomorrow
I think she just woke up
night,
one day
I'll
was like,
start earlier.
right, use my son
Right,
now.
tomorrow night I'll
Use-
do a next session, try and do one more
Use-
paper again, and go through
use my-
revise things, make sure we're good. And 'cause I don't want to keep you all too much, because I know some of you all have biology Monday morning. So I wouldn't keep you all
Biology.
too late. I'll start earlier tomorrow night.
You might just
Maybe
say
by 8,
biology.
so that we'll go from maybe 8 to half 9. Yeah, maybe around that. So that you all can also revise biology.
I'm tired.
Right. If I have the
Tired.
opportunity to do it earlier in the afternoon, I'll try, but that is not a guarantee. Right. So I will message on the parents chat, let your parents know, so that we'll know when to start. But I'll try and start earlier tomorrow night so that you all could revise bio as well. I don't want to take away from
Drop this,
your
drop the
ability to
bird,
revise your bio. All right. Good. Any questions, guys? Or everybody okay?
All right, I think we're going through it, you know. I think we really going
Everybody
through
okay
it.
there?
Ask her for the recording. Ask her for the recording.
Done. All right. Yeah. Yeah, shouldn't. Right. Okay. Yeah.
Why is
Once
your
I get
name
it, I will put it on
Chief Fat?
Wait, I cannot inside the Bloxburg. I cannot with the Bloxburg house
right.
there.
So I'll try and get it once I get it coming in the
I cannot with the Roblox car. I cannot profile picture
that I have there. Right. So once I get it, I'll share it with you all. All right. No problem.
I was wondering about the SBA marks.
All right. I will double check it and put it on and send a message.
SBA go on.
All right. Thanks, sir.
All right. No problem.
Yeah,
all right, guys. So as I say, I will send information tomorrow. Say your parents what time we'll start, but I'm trying to be early. If I could do earlier than that, I'll let you all know.
Can you somehow send a
We'll go
picture
from
of
8 to half 9
sticker?
tomorrow, at least, to our next paper. try and revise some topic areas. Make sure you're good
What
with
is all
certain
this
topic
thing you
areas. So if
have?
I see
Are
things
you
that
gonna send all this to Sir?
I wouldn't go through
What
them
is
again.
it?
I'll try and get other topics so we could finish off, try and
I'll
run
give
through
you a
all the
minute to
topics a little bit,
find
a little revision on everything.
what happened to the hard
So I
drive.
feel comfortable doing the exam. All right. And well, of course, I'll be in school on Monday if you all need anything.
Wait, you
in
did it?
between
All
your
you get
bio
to
and
think wrong
stuff,
in all the
you
computer
can come
lab.
and check me to clarify anything. All right. So
Oh, hey, I could do that right now, you
that's
know.
it for tonight.
I have one of them.
Good. So
I have one of them.
have a
Real.
good night, guys. Do some revision again, but get some rest. Do some work tomorrow. Get some rest again. All right. So have a good night and be safe with all this weather as well. Right.
All this weather,
If the weather
right?
continues tomorrow night into Monday morning,
Well-
leave home a little bit earlier to reach the school for exams or no chance leaving late. All right.
Okay.
So be safe, guys. Take care. Talk to you all tomorrow.
Like flies, please.
Bye,
I
sir.
use one more thing I could just show you.
What's that?
So I could just show you.
Yeah, no problem.
I give us a second. Put the point this thing again. Right. So we're jumping in on this.
What you put in there? I can't tell exactly what
So
that is.
that's a few. Is this like this cleaning thermal paste off or waiting?
Oh, where you get these things, Jalen? And furthermore, why? Not just where, why?
Why?
Why do you go searching for them?
Thanks, sir. Thanks, sir.
All right. Take care. See you all tomorrow.
Oh my god.
Your teacher was here. I love you, you know.
I do that twice already before.
Oh
Wait,
my
so all of them they waited